Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Young Rich Toys 1/6 scale figure unboxing and review video. And yes, it is finally here, the black suit slash battle suit slash final end of movie suit version of Miles Morales from Into the Spider-Verse. First of all, I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who supported the initial Miles video. That's my first and only video so far to surpass the 1 million view mark. That is awesome. You guys and gals are awesome for watching, so a huge thank you goes out to all of you. Now, Young Rich didn't only impress me, but impressed a lot of the viewers as well. A lot of people who watched my previous video went out and picked up that Miles, because yes, even though Hot Toys are making one, this third-party offering is that darn good. Fingers and toes are all crossed that the one in this box in front of us right here is equally as good as the last one. Now, if you do want to pick up your very own Young Rich Miles, either this version or the other one, they are in stock and ready to go right now with toyswonderland.com, and of course the link for that is down in the description below. I did pick DHL, so this got here super quickly. However, as you can see already, I know you're heading down to the comment section to tell me, yes, I can see the box has been damaged. DHL seems to have been playing football with this box, and they've gone ahead and absolutely obliterated it, but they did get it here at least in record time. Now, do bear in mind, if you are purchasing this, it is a third-party unlicensed product, and this video is not a promotional video. It's a review of a product that I purchased with my own money. Now, with all of that being said, what we're going to do now is get the box laying flat in the light box and do the unboxing. And here we have the box art for Miles himself. Now, as you can see, an image of Miles right up there on the front, but you might be scratching your heads thinking, is this deja vu? Haven't we already seen this exact same box artwork? And yes, you are right, keen-eyed viewer, it's exactly the same. I questioned it with the casual Miles. Why are we getting the battlesuit version on both? It's a bit weird. Nevertheless, it does work a little bit better for this one right here, but I do think they could have at least changed this Miles in the center and put an unmasked head sculpt or something to differentiate between the two. But nevertheless, I'm not complaining. It's still a really nice piece of artwork, very glossy, and that sort of holographic effect on the eyes, it makes it look like a really high-end piece. And it is a very, very sturdy and very thick piece of cardboard. You can also see Young Rich in that same holographic effect on the side. Now let's get him out here. I have been waiting ever since that first Miles video. Young Rich Toys has really impressed me. I didn't know what to expect back when we opened that first one, but this one we're kind of going into it knowing that this is going to be a really nice high quality piece. Fingers crossed at least for that. Now you can see up front and center we do have a backdrop and of course the stickers like we got with the previous version. This time the backdrop is rather blank, but if we do know anything based off the previous one, there will be some sort of 3D effect. We'll have to wait and see what that looks like a little bit later in the video. It's a mystery and I can't wait to solve it. And of course, here we have Miles himself up close, front and center, and I have to say, he looks absolutely stunning. That suit, super vibrant, I love the detail, but we won't be giving anything away just yet. We'll take a much closer look at him a little bit later in the video. Now, of course, he does come with a bunch of accessories, an unmasked Miles head sculpt, and underneath, all of the rest of the awesome stuff that comes packed in with this set. So, without further ado, what we're going to do now is get all of this stuff laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. And here we have all of the accessories that come with the battle suit version of Miles. Now, the only two key things that I can tell so far that are missing from this release that came with the previous one is number one, the backpack, and number two, the cape. This one comes with some other different accessories though that I think more than make up for those omissions. Plus, he wasn't wearing the cape in this outfit anyway. Now, let's start off by taking a look at the display base first. It's exactly the same as what we got before, but it is very, very classy. It's that pedestal style centerpiece display base. Nice metal nameplate with Miles Morales printed there on the front, and of course Spider-Man on the top there. This is a very, very classy move by Young Rich. It's centerpiece quality and I love it. Now, of course, to accompany this display base, he does come with the flight pole, and it is suitably bendy and you can clamp it around the waist fairly nicely. It is a little bit shorter, but then again, so is the figure, so I think it'll work perfectly fine. Now, this version of Miles does come with a different head sculpt, and yes, it is the smirking expression, just like when he placed his hand on Gwen's shoulder and said, hey. So I do think this will work quite nicely for that, and comparing it to the other one, you can see that I do think there is a difference in the paint tone on the new head sculpt. I do think it looks slightly better, and of course I do like the expression a lot more, but then again, he wasn't all just smiles throughout the entire movie. There were moments where this head sculpt could be used as well for a more somber expression for Miles, so having both, I really do appreciate. This one right here though, is what I'm going to be displaying on my casual version of Miles. Now speaking of casual Miles, he does come with pretty much the entire outfit that the other one did come with. The jean shorts with the proper metal die-cast belt buckle, very, very nice, and of course the jacket and hoodie. A couple of people have been saying the jacket is supposed to be green, and yes, from some scenes it does look a little bit more green, and then in others it looks like this. So depending on the scene, depending on the lighting of the CG, you can actually make your decision as to whether or not this is accurate. And of course, on the logo here it does say Young Rich. Very classy, very subtle, and I love it. Now, he does come with this mask. Unfortunately, someone was asking me whether or not I can actually place this on top of the head. It is not possible. You can see the hole in the bottom there is super duper tiny. It's just meant to be held in his hand, but I do like the eyes that are printed on there, and it looks absolutely fantastic. A very nice accessory, something that they really didn't have to include. Now, he does come with these little electric effects, his spider venom effect, or whatever it was called in the movie. I'm sorry, it's been a while since I've seen it. Do let me know down in the comments below, but they are pretty darn basic, but they will get the job done. Now, he does of course come with his little paint can that is exactly the same as previously. You can remove the cap, and it is a really nice, but again, very basic piece. Something that I do think was integral to the sort of character progression of Miles throughout the movie, so I'm glad they included it. And this time, we do get yet another goober, except this one is the one from the end of the movie with his Miles Spidey logo on there, and it looks really, really good. I'm glad that they gave us a more updated version, not just a pack-in of the exact same one that we got before. Speaking of what we got before, this is his cell phone, and it is identical, which makes perfect sense, and you do actually get the stickers to have the phone screen on there, so you don't have to worry about just having a blank screen on the actual phone itself. I do like that you can interchange them and make it look pretty much the way you want. Now, something that was omitted from the previous Spidey was thwip hands, but not this time. We do have them, and you can see the web lines are nicely sculpted in there. I like the gradient of the red as well. Very subtle, but you can still clearly tell that it has been spray painted. You can also see some sort of tech detail of the web shooter on the hand there. These are very simple, but very, very nicely done. I've said that a couple of times, but Young Rich really has impressed me, and they are doing it once again with this version of Miles. Now, the Vens also included this piece right here, which is the Spidey scent. It just goes on the neck peg, and then you can have him with his Spidey scent going off in the background there. Very, very nice. I do like when they include these pieces. You do also, of course, have his webs. These are pretty much identical to what we've gotten with the Hot Toy Spidey figures. Exactly the same, although I said this in the other video, I don't know why they didn't copy that brand new web that Hot Toys is using with the sort of spooled up effect. If you're gonna copy, you may as well take the best bits, and I kind of wish they'd taken that one, but nevertheless, this will do the job. You do also have a funnel piece that can attach to the back there, so you can have it look like he's webbing up some foes. Now, the final bits that he does come with are some interchangeable eyes. Unfortunately, they aren't magnetic, they just have to friction fit in there, but so far they've been perfectly fine for me. You can see slightly squinted and then all the way squinted, so depending on how serious or intense in terms of the battling poses you're doing with Miles, you can decide how squinted you'd like his Spidey eyes. Nevertheless, what we're going to do now is take a look at the stickers and of course the backdrop piece, because there are a couple more accessories before we get Miles himself out here and take a closer look. And here we have the stickers themselves, but before we take a look at those, let's take a look at the Nike shoes. No, I didn't forget. Those of you who headed down to the comment section and told me, Justin, you didn't show us the shoes. Here they are, and the box looks fantastic. All of the details, even down to the size and barcode. It says Nike Air Jordan 1, and of course, let's take a look at them. I know a lot of people are buying these particular releases pretty much just for these shoes, with the hopes that these can work with the Hot Toys release, because of course they aren't Nike branded, whereas these are, and these are beautiful. They're proper unique sculpt by Young Rich for this particular figure, and that is fantastic. The detail is exemplary, the leather texture, the sole, the logos, these are absolutely beautiful, and the fact that they come in a proper Nike shoebox, that is icing on the cake. Now, the stickers themselves, as you can see, couple of onomatopoeia, and of course the note from your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Here's a little comic, a couple of those little name tags he was throwing up around the city, and of course, some phone screens. Now, he also does come with his backdrop piece, and for those of you wondering what it was going to be, it's a cityscape down the bottom, and of course just a sky at the top there. It's a night sky, so you can kind of have it look like he's jumping out of the night sky. That's awesome, I love it, and I cannot wait to see if I can implement this in my personal display. And here we have the battle suit version of Miles, standing straight up and down the lightbox, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that, and I have to say, this guy looks absolutely sublime. There's no two ways about it. I think this guy is an absolute must, especially if you have that first version. Now, just like the other video that we did on the other version of Miles, I will be taking a look at him as he stands right now, fresh out of the box, then I'll put the additional costume elements on him, and then we'll take a look at that. But for now, just standing there fresh, just right out of the box, he looks pristine. I love this suit. It looks gorgeous. I love the detail. I love the pop of red. I love the work that Young Rich Toys have put in here. Just like I said in the last video, I think this company, the people behind it, really do love Into the Spider-Verse, and you can tell by their work. They love their craft, and they love this figure, and so do I. It looks awesome. I love the detail on the suit, like I said, all the little gimmicks and accessories that he comes with. It's a really nice package. So, without further ado, what we're going to do now is take him off the rotating turntable, punch in, and take a closer look at the details. And here we have the battle suit Young Rich Miles figure up close and personal, and I have to say, he looks really darn good. Young Rich Toys, you've gone from kind of unknown to now one of my absolute favorite third-party companies. This suit looks absolutely gorgeous. While not 100% perfectly flawless, it does have a couple of niggles that I will talk about in a second, but it is pretty darn good right off the bat. I love the webbing. It looks good. It's a nice grey colour, very, very consistent throughout. The red looks like spray paint on the entire thing with a couple of flecks here and there. It looks like it's supposed to. Now, Adam over at 6 Scale Network, one of the admins, did ask me how the gradation of the actual hands themselves match to the suit. They are very different. This is more of a straight black with the web lines indented versus these being over the top, but it kind of works. The web shooter nicely breaks it up, and speaking of the web shooter, they are identical to what we got with the other version, except this time painted black, and they do nicely match the hands, and the red is very nice of a fade throughout the entire thing there. I'm loving the way this looks. Now, the one minor complaint that I do have is the creasing in the red section, and you can see it there. Fresh out of the box, I haven't done any posing or anything like that just yet. It's already creased. That means that if you do go crazy with the posing, the red sections will likely get even more so. But then again, think of it. This is spray paint technically in the movieverse over the top of a suit, so it would kind of crease anyway. That's my way of allowing it in my OCD, over-rationalized brain. But I do like the Spidey logo on the back there with the spray paint dripping down, and the texture with these little squiggles. I really like the way that looks. The other minor complaint that I do have is the eyes. For some reason, they didn't install magnets in the back, so this one in particular likes to fall out every so often. But at the very least, they got the mask perfectly centered, unlike on my other version where the little nose holes were way down low. This one is perfectly in the center there, that little circle, that signature for Spidey. You can see there are some little ears sculpted in there, and that eye really does want to fall out. But overall, is it really souring my opinion on the entire thing? No, not really. I'm still loving the way this looks. It's an absolutely beautiful look for Miles. Now, whether or not I go for this one or the fully suited and kitted up version of Miles, I don't know. We'll have to decide in just a second when we take a look at the alternate outfit. Panning the camera down to give you a closer look at the rest of the outfit on Miles. As you can see, the suit texture obviously continues on throughout, except it's a little bit different on the legs. You can see this sort of squiggly style pattern, and it is screen printed, but I do feel like, unlike the shoulders, it's going to stand the test of time. It feels fairly light, and it does spring back quite nicely, and of course the overall feel of the material is identical to the upper torso, very, very stretchy, and I love it. Now, they've done something interesting with the feet here, so you can actually make use of the Nike shoes. They are on ball joints, and they are actually on a swivel as well, so technically you're getting double articulation on the feet. And yes, they have fixed the super loose feet issue. As you can see, they are nice and tight, and he does stand fairly nicely, unlike my previous version of Miles, so either they will listen listening to what I said in the video, which I highly doubt, or they just made the product improvements based on other people's feedback, which I do think is the more likely of the two. Now, the feet themselves, you can see, is really nicely textured on the bottom. Was it like that in the film? I haven't seen the film in a while since the last Miles video, so I actually don't remember if the feet, the soles, were exactly like that, but they're super vibrant red, and I love it. The texture is also really nice. Unfortunately, there isn't really any toe articulation. You can see it flexes a little bit, but I wouldn't count that as articulation. Now, I do actually have a bit of an issue with the way they've done the ball joint. You can very clearly see it is a ball joint. I don't know why they didn't include a little foam padded section here, just like they did on the movie promo version of Spidey from Far From Home. It fixed the gapping issue, and I think it would have worked a treat here. Then again, that's probably something that I can do. Pull off the shoe, move up the suit, and then put the foam in there, pull it back over the top. In fact, I might try that and let you know how that goes in a future collection tour video. Now, for a quick side-by-side comparison, here we have both versions of Miles standing side by side. You can see they're the exact same height, which makes perfect sense. They're using the same body underneath, which again, they are the same person, so this works perfectly fine. Now, I am actually struggling to decide which version of the different outfits to go with. I have popped the new smirking head on the original Miles. It looks fantastic. I'm so glad that they included it, but now I'm struggling with the new one to decide whether to have him with the additional outfit elements or not. Let me know down in the comments below, which is your personal favorite look for Miles. And here we have Miles in his secondary look. Obviously, I've taken all of the usual clothing that we got with the previous version, that also comes with this one, and then put it over the top of his battle suit. I've also taken the liberty of popping on the unmasked head sculpt, and I have to say, this look is really darn good, but it's not one that I'm going to be using. Let me just explain my logic here. A lot of people, including myself, was thinking with the previous release, I kind of wish it was the final battle suit, and then we get this one and potentially just cover it all up and then use the unmasked head sculpt anyway. Kind of feels like a missed opportunity, so I'm going to seize that opportunity and have him displayed as the all-out final version of Miles in the proper black suit. I'm not going to cover it up with the civilian clothing. As cool as this looks, don't get me wrong, you're not wrong for wanting to have him looking like this. This is an awesome display option, but for me personally, I'm more than likely going to go with the all-out, fully suited version of Miles. And here we have Miles in his secondary look, up close and personal. And I have to say, this thing looks really awesome. But before we talk about the outfit, I want to let you know this is going to be a one-take clip, top and bottom, just to give you a look at the entire thing, because technically we've seen all of these outfit elements separately in the previous video. If you haven't already, go ahead and check that one out. But nevertheless, here we have him, and I do like this head sculpt on the body. It sits very nicely, the neck isn't too short or too long, and it complements this suit, I think, quite well. The jacket and the hoodie do go on fairly easily, but when you get to the web shooters, because of the nature of these cinched wrist sections, it's a little bit tricky, but don't worry, with a little bit of finagling, you can definitely get it on there. There's also a bit of a byproduct out of the suit being made out of this sort of screen-printed rubbery material. It likes to stick to the inside of the hoodie, so you can technically use it to friction in place wherever you'd like to put it, and it kind of works for the hood as well. When you have it on the Spidey mask, which you'll see at the end of the video, you can kind of have it in a certain different direction, push it down on the rubbery suit, and it'll kind of stick in place, which in my opinion is a huge bonus. Now, moving down to the pants, you can see they fit on there quite nicely. They don't look overly big or baggy or anything. They look pretty darn accurate to the movie. And of course, moving down to the shoes, the pièce de résistance tops this figure off very nicely. I do like the laces, which are untied, of course. It's a choice, and I do love it. It looks really darn good. They are nice and stiff, unlike the previous version of Miles, which had, of course, the wobbly foot issue. This one is super nice and stiff. You don't have to worry about him falling over whatsoever. That is a huge upgrade over the previous version. In fact, this entire thing has taken what they've done well with the previous one and improved upon it, which of course I really do like. Just going over articulation on the battle suit Miles. Now bear in mind, this is my personal copy of the figure, so I'm going to be a little bit more careful. When you get yours in hand, however, I'm sure you can push the joints a little bit further than I'm willing to go. Now, starting off with the head sculpt itself, it is on a ball joint right up there at the top, so you do get the usual range of motion. I'm struggling to get it moving forward and back. I don't know if that's just because the joints are stiffer on mine, or just because it simply doesn't move that way, but nevertheless, you can get a fairly decent range of motion out of the head sculpt itself. Could it go further? Yeah, possibly. easily, but this works perfectly fine for me. Now, Peter from Posing with Peter has let me know that these red sections are very, very fragile, so do be careful. I'm not going to move them too terribly much in this video, but know they can go up to about there. You can go higher, but I really don't want to stress it, and going forward pretty much all the way around. Again, just be careful of those red sections. You do also have a butterfly joint in there, a swivel at the upper bicep, a pretty darn decent double bend there at the elbow, and of course a traditional 1/6 scale joint at the wrist, except this time they've fixed the looseness in the wrist because they've made the suit come over the actual peg itself, so now there's even more friction. There's no loose wrists any longer. Thank goodness young Rich has taken note and fixed that issue. Now the torso, you do have of course a crunch, but it doesn't move forward all that much. You will have to make use of the legs themselves to get even more crunch, so it is very, very slight. You do have a pivot and swivel up there as well. Now the legs can go forward to about there, they can go out to about there, so fairly unrestricted because of the nice stretchy outfit. A swivel at the upper thigh, a double bend at the knee there, which is really nice and decent, and of course at the feet you do have a swivel joint that you can sort of rotate to the side to give you some pivot, but it can also move forward and back. Just wrapping up on the battle suit version of Miles, I'm sure to nobody's surprise, I really like this thing. I've kind of been gushing throughout the entire review, and I'm pretty sure that was to be expected. The first version was already that darn good. They've only taken what they did really well with the initial release and improved further upon that, plus they added that super dope, super slick black Spidey outfit, and I love it. The subtle pops of red that also kind of aren't all that subtle really make this thing pop on the shelf. Also, he can pose. Surprisingly, I thought even after looking at the articulation, he would be a little bit limited, but no, he can actually get into some pretty darn awesome poses, which is super nice for a Spidey figure. The only sort of downsides that I do have for this guy is number one, the red sections on the outfit. They will get damaged over time, but then again, you do get a secondary outfit, you can pop it over the top and hide those creases, so technically, for me, and by no means do you have to agree with me whatsoever, it's not a huge deal. Overall, the pros for this thing really do, in my opinion, outweigh the cons. This is made by a company that truly does love Into the Spider-Verse and really loves their craft. They've poured a lot of love and attention to detail into this piece, and you can tell it screams quality, comes with a bunch of accessories. What more is there that you could ask for an Into the Spider-Verse figure? The only big downside is Hot Toys have gone ahead and announced their own version, so kind of this guy unfortunately has to compete with the Hot Toys one, and it's a bit of an unknown because we don't know how good, or in fact how not so good, the Hot Toys one will be when it comes out. So fingers crossed this guy will still be available for people still waiting to make their minds up, but by all means, if you think you might want this sometime down the line, get it now, and then when the Hot Toys one comes out in 2021 or whenever it's coming out, sell this one off, and then you'll still have an Into the Spider-Verse Miles. Also, an issue that I'm having is how do I display him in the more casual look with the civilian clothes over the top of the Spidey suit, or just straight up with the Spidey suit? Do let me know what your preferred look is down in the comments below. Now, if you are looking to pick this guy up, he is in stock right now with toyswonderland.com. That's where I purchased mine. I did pay for it. This is not a promotional video. It's a review of a product that I've purchased with my own money, and that product happens to be unlicensed and third party. So bear that in mind when you are deciding whether or not to purchase this Miles. Also, while you're down in the description, why not check out the link to 6 Scale Network, the brand new awesome Facebook group. Come along, chat figures, share photos of your collection, and of course, see what's coming up next on the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.